My name is Maria Luna, and my theorist was Robert M. Gagne, Conditions of Learning. In his theory, we will learn about association learning, the 5 categories of learning outcomes, and the 9 events of instruction. Early life of Robert M. Gagne. He was born on August 21st, 1916 in North Andover, Massachusetts. He attended high school at North Andover, Massachusetts, where he decided to study psychology. I looked for information about his mom and dad, could not find anything about them. So this is what I could find. Early professional and personal life. Robert was married to Pat, who was a biologist. She was a big influencer to Gagne's life, especially in his education. I read an article that she was always by his side through all his theory. They had 1 son together, Samuel, 1 daughter, Ellen, and 2 grandchildren. I also read about Ellen, who then later became a psychologist herself. Robert attended Yale University, where he earned an AB degree in 1937. He then attended graduate school at Brown University, where he studied conditioned operant response and earning his PhD in 1940. Employment after education. His study of conditioned operant response was of white rats under various conditions. Gagne pioneered the science of instruction during World War II, training pilots, where he developed studies to explain good instruction. Gagne's theory was actually first created for the military, so there's a lot of critics of how they say that his theory is not even for education, but for because it was created for the military at first. But that's where in the World War II, when he went there, that's where he realized that not everybody learned at the same pace, and so he created his theory. Gagne was also involved in applying concepts of instructional theory to the design of computer-based training and multimedia-based learning. Career as an educational psychologist. Gagne was a professor of psychology and educational psychology at many universities. Gagne had his first college teaching job from 1940 to 1949 at Connecticut College for Women. From 1945 to 1946, he was teaching at Pennsylvania State University. From 1958 to 1962, he was teaching at Princeton. And from 1966 to 1969, he was teaching at the University of California at Berkeley. The theory development of Gagne. In 1962, Gagne had published his first book, Conditions of Learning. Following that, in 1969, he published the 2nd and 3rd edition of his book. His theory is to specify that there are several types of learning levels of learning to meet the needs of the students. In his theory, he identified 5 major categories of learning, which I listed below. First one, verbal information. 2nd, intellectual skills. 3rd, cognitive strategies. 4, motor skills. And 5, attitudes. Each of the categories that I just stated of learning is in need of different internal and external conditions. Number 1, signal learning, a general response to a signal, like a dog responding to a command. Number 2, stimulus response learning, a precise response to a distinct stimulus. Number 3, chaining, a chain of 2 or more stimulus response connections is acquired. Number 4, verbal association, the learning of chains that are verbal. Number 5, discrimination learning, the ability to make different responses to similar appearing stimuli. Number 6, concept learning, a common response to a class of stimuli. Number 7, rule learning, learning a chain of 2 or more concepts. And number 8, problem solving, a kind of learning that requires higher order of thinking. Theory development continue, part 3. According to Gagne's good instruction requires planning, and here are 9 steps Gagne gives us to plan the instruction. So this is when the teacher is getting ready to plan for her instruction. Number 1, identify the types of learning outcomes. Number 2, identify the internal conditions or processes the learner must have to achieve the outcomes. Number 3, identify the external conditions or instructions needed to achieve the outcomes. Number 4, specify the learning context. Number 5, record the characteristics of the learners. Number 6, select the media for instruction. Number 7, plan to motivate the learners. Number 8, test the instruction with learners in the form of formative evaluation. And number 9, summative evaluation is used to judge the effectiveness of the instruction. Theory development, continue part 4. After planning, Gagne also gives us 9 steps to deliver the interaction. Number 1, gain attention. This is to present to ensure reception of instruction. Number 2, tell the learners the learning objectives. Here we will be asking the students, what will the learner gain from our instruction? Number 3, stimulate recall of prior learning. We will be asking for recalling of existing relevant knowledge. Number 4, present the stimulus, displaying the content. Number 5, provide learning guidance. Number 6, elicit performance, learner's response to demonstrate knowledge. Number 7 is provide feedback. This one's very important, always giving informative feedback to the learner's performance. And number 8, assess performance, more performances and more feedback to reinforce information. And number 9, enhance retention and transfer to other contexts. All of Gagne's work was criticized as most appropriate for mastery learning of information and intellectual skills objectives, but was less suited for attitude and cognitive strategies. Award of Robert M. Gagne, membership in Phi Beta Kappa Sigma Xi in the National Academy of Education. Eminent Lectureship Award by the Society of Engineering Education. Phi Delta Kappa Award for Distinguished Educational Research. John Smith Memorial Award from the Victorian Institute of Educational Research. The Robert O. Lawton Distinguished Professorship, Florida State University. Highest Award, Educational Technology Person of the Year Award, and AECT Outstanding Educator and Researcher Award. Pioneers who influenced Robert M. Gagne was L.J. Briggs, W.P. Gephardt, and B.F. Skinner. L.J. Briggs was actually one who influenced him most with his book, Conditions of Learning. Life to death. Robert Mills Gagne died April 28, 2002 in Signal Mountain, Tennessee. He was in his 86th year of life. Gagne was one of the great bridge builders between laboratory and practice. He strove throughout his professional career to bring psychological science and its methods into the service of mankind, and he succeeded splendidly. Current teaching practices. So this is why I believe that Robert's theory is important, or why teachers now should know and apply this theory to their instruction. This theory is very helpful for teacher teaching right now because it helps with students' management in the classroom. So I believe that this is true because if we know how the student is learning, at what level, what needs to be done, and if we have the steps to before planning our instruction and then after we are giving that instruction to the kids, we have Robert also gives us the steps to help with the students. There were the 8, the gain attention, the displaying the content, giving informative feedback. I feel like all those are very important to teachers right now to help with student management in the classroom. It teaches us the 5 major of categories of learning, what we need to do while we are planning our instruction, and the 9 steps to help us present our instruction. This is what I was talking about. He provides all this for us, and I think having this as a visual, especially for future teachers, it will be very helpful because, like I said, it will help us learn how each student learns and how we can help them gain that knowledge of the instruction being taught. Applying Gagne's nine-step model is an excellent way to ensure an effective and systematic learning program, as it gives structure to the lesson plans and a holistic view to the teaching. So when we are creating our lesson plans, this will help us with the 9 steps that I had provided for y'all. And then the last slide is just my citation, my bibliography sources. Thank you.